Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen, is going to be remembered for presiding over the family separation policy of the Trump administration. And in her first hearing before the new Democrat-controlled House of Representatives, answering questions about that, not one of her strong suits. And so I want to show you some videos from Representative Lauren Underwood asking her about research showing how traumatic separation can be for young kids. And I want you to see in real time how Kirstjen Nielsen wilts under the pressure. So in this first one, was she aware of research showing that kids being separated would be traumatic?
The information that I was aware of at the time was that the trauma is part of the journey to come up to the border illegally.
Okay, so that's a clever little evasion. It becomes less clever in the context of using it to take away any responsibility of yourself for doing permanent damage to these kids. So yeah, you're aware that the trip will be traumatic. Okay, that's true. The thing is, we can't control that necessarily. We can't stop that effect from happening. What we can do is make it so that when they enter our country, we don't compound the problem in whole new ways and make it far worse than it needs to be. That's how a serious person responds to that sort of concern. And I understand that she's part of the administration. She's going to have to defend the policy. But she doesn't have to try to be cute about it. She doesn't have to completely disregard any concern for these kids' continuing welfare. And that is what I saw there. And you're probably going to see more of it. So here is more on this line of questioning from Representative Underwood.
Were you aware that toxic stress can actually change a child's brain because it's still developing?
I wasn't familiar with the term.
Okay, were you aware that the effects of these traumas are cumulative, that they get worse the longer the trauma goes on?
Yes, sorry. I'd like to clarify because we're missing a bigger point here, but yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. Respectfully,
Okay.
let me answer your questions.
Were you aware that the traumatic effects don't go away even if a child is reunited with their family?
I understand that they are, no.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are hard questions to answer. I get that. Nobody wants to have the reputation of presiding over permanent traumatic psychological damage to children. So what you could have done, Kirstjen Nielsen, is resign from the administration. You could have found out that this is going to be the policy, and although she tried to make evasions and other questions about whether she knew, her answers implied that she knew all too well that this is what was going to happen under Donald Trump and under the DHS, under her watch. She could have left. She could have done the moral thing, she could have done the ethical thing, she could have just done the pragmatic thing to defend her reputation, and she could have dwelled in the shadows for a couple of years and then returned to a think tank or Republican politics some other time. But you didn't want to do that. You wanted to be a part of this policy, Kirstjen Nielsen, and that is why this is going to be your reputation. This stain is not going to be washed away with a couple more years of blasé news. If God help us, if you stop separating the kids, we're not going to forget about this. And by the way, Representative Underwood, I'm going to show one more video of her in just a second. She has a long line of questioning in this light. I have not seen her in a lot of these committee hearings, but her line of questioning was as strong as any of the other representatives that have been rightfully lauded over the past couple of years. She was not able to be deterred by Kirstjen Nielsen's attempts at evasion and circular logic and all of that. She stayed on message, and you can see how it's affecting the secretary in real time. She knows what she's being accused of because she knows what she did. And you can see, I guess she has more of a moral core than others in the Trump administration in that it seems to be affecting her. You can see how hurt she is to have to think about it, but I'm only going to give her that much credit, not much more, since she did do it after all. So one more in this same line of questioning.
Were you aware that family separation can lead to behavioral changes and learning delays for children?
Again, kids should be with their families.
Okay, so I will take that as a no. Were you aware that it increases a child's risk of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer?
I would ask all parents to go to ports of entry, not to separate their children and send them on the journey alone, and not to break U.S. law.
Okay, so she is back in the full-on Trump Defense Force mode. Yeah, they shouldn't be separated. And if someone separates from their kids outside of the U.S., Kirstjen Nielsen can't change that. I can't change that. You can't change that. But what we can do is not do it for them once they come into this country. I know that, you know that, she knows that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows what the effect of that policy would be. And let's not forget that was not just the effect of the policy, that was the goal of the policy. They said in their planning, we know, we want to scare them off from coming into this country, and so we will be as cruel as we need to be to make sure that they change their behavior. It was not an unfortunate side effect, it was the stated mission of the policy. And that is what we've seen. And I'm sure you've seen the videos of kids being checked up on after several months after they'd been reunited. They're still being affected psychologically and emotionally by that experience, let alone the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds who will literally never see their families again. Those kids don't get talked about anymore, but they are very, very real. And we found out about that at the same time we were finding out that thousands more kids have been separated than we had initially been privy to. And Kirstjen Nielsen there every step of the way. Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.